Historic charges against Trump, a win for the Voting Rights Act, and the return of El Niño. That's some of what we'll get to on the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Christina Quinn, filling in for Jeff Pierre. It's Friday, June 9th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Number 1, Donald Trump has been hit with more criminal charges. The former president faces 7 counts over hundreds of classified documents taken to his home in Florida after he left the White House. This is historic. He's the first former president to face federal criminal charges, but it doesn't stop him from continuing his run to return to the White House. This is also the second time in a little more than 2 months that Trump has been indicted. He's also facing state charges in New York for allegedly falsifying business records. Trump will appear in federal court in Miami on Tuesday to respond to this latest indictment. He could face years in prison if convicted. Number 2, air quality on the East Coast should start to improve tomorrow. Here's the latest forecast. Wildfire smoke will stick around today, but it should be better than yesterday. After that, winds are expected to push much of it over the ocean. But keep in mind that fires are still burning in Canada. Canada's fire season is also just beginning, so winds could bring smoke back to different parts of the U.S. in the next few weeks or months. This has been a new experience for the eastern part of the U.S. The West Coast has been dealing with wildfire issues like this for years. If you want to check your local air quality, go to airnow.gov. A key new phase of the war in Ukraine is underway. That's our third story. Ukraine has launched its long-expected counteroffensive against occupying Russian forces. On Wednesday night, it stepped up attacks in the country's southeast region. Here's what's at stake. Ukraine is trying to retake all land seized by Russia since its invasion last year. This could break months of stalemate on the battlefield. One key area to watch is Zaporizhzhia. If Ukraine retakes this region, it could disrupt critical Russian supply lines by cutting off the land route connecting Russian-occupied Crimea to the Russian mainland. Number 4, the Supreme Court handed down a win for the Voting Rights Act. Yesterday, justices ruled that Alabama's new voting maps were unfair to Black voters. Only 1 out of 7 congressional districts in Alabama had a majority of Black voters, even though they make up more than 25% of the state's population. This was an unexpected decision. The court has recently been more skeptical of protections in the Voting Rights Act. If the ruling had gone the other way, it would have been a major change in U.S. election law, one that could have led to fewer non-white lawmakers in Congress. This is one of many rulings the Supreme Court will be handing out this month. Major decisions on student loan forgiveness, affirmative action, and more are still to come. El Niño is back. That's number 5. The infamous climate pattern is known for bringing hotter temperatures. It's replacing 3 years of La Niña, which usually cools the Earth down. Experts say that the return of El Niño will probably push average global temperatures past a record set in 2016. It could also bring more extreme weather. But its exact impact is difficult to predict, especially because scientists don't yet know whether or how human-caused global warming might affect how El Niño behaves. Earth's oceans have already shown dramatic warming this year, and that was before El Niño's arrival. Number 6, there's a race to map the world's seagrass. About 19% of the world's known seagrass meadows have vanished since the late 1800s. Now, researchers are looking for what remains so they can try to save it. Seagrass is important. They're called the lungs of the sea because they produce so much essential oxygen for sea creatures. They could also help in the fight against climate change. Similar to how trees pull carbon from the air on land, seagrasses do the same underwater. And at number 7, if you're wondering what wild animals were doing during the coronavirus lockdowns, we've got you. A massive study used GPS tracking data on bears, deer, elephants, giraffes, and some 40 other mammals around the world from early in the pandemic. And it confirms many animals roamed farther and appeared to act more at ease without us pesky humans around. The study also suggested new ways to protect wildlife now that the pandemic is over, but without everyone having to stay at home again. That's the show for this week. The assistant producer of The 7 is Taylor White. The staff writers are Tess Homan and Jamie Ross. John Taylor is our editor. Additional editing by yours truly. Copy editing by Francis Moody, Thomas Haliba, and Melissa No. Mixing and sound design is by Jim Briggs and Justin Garish. Our theme music is by Edith Mudge. I'm Christina Quinn. Thanks for listening and have a great weekend. I'll meet you back here on Monday.